Welcome to Ask The Latina. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics report of 2017, only 12.8% of people employed in the financial industry were Latino. But with over 55 million Hispanics in the country, the financial sector sees Latinos as a key growth area and is seeking to boost the number of Hispanics working in the financial industry to help draw more Latino families into the savings and investment world. But a finance degree can take you into corporate management opportunities as well. So today we have with us Bruno Olvera, who studied at finance and studied actually at Detroit Mercy in the finance and business administration. Thank you for being on our show, Bruno.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here today.
Bruno, tell us about growing up and your family.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Mexico. I'm from a very, very small town called Morabatio del Encinal in the city of Salvatierra, the state of Guanajuato. So it's a very, very small town. But I was born and raised there. I lived there until I was 13 with my mom, my two brothers, and my sister.
Okay.
And then my dad he was here in the United States, and then he will go back and spend a couple months with us, when he was not working, and then he will come back to the States. But in 2002, we made the decision to come to Detroit as a family. And the reason why we did it was because my mom was pregnant at the time, and the plan was only to stay here for 1 year. But after my little brother was born, we were here already for 6 months. So we were adapting to the culture, the country, and learning English, because when we arrived, we spoke zero English.
Wow.
I mean, it was a big, huge learning curve. But yeah, that's when we moved to Detroit in 2002. And then I lived in Mexico for, I will say, half of my life, because most of my life I've been here now. But I had the opportunity to finish middle school here in Detroit, Munger Middle School, then eventually moved over to high school in Chatsey High School. It's no longer there, but that's where I graduated from. Okay. And then continue my career at University of Detroit Mercy and my MBA right after that.
Wow, that's great. So what or who inspired you to go to the college?
So, I think the two persons who inspired me the most were my parents. My mom and dad. My dad did go to school in Mexico. He finished a technical career. Okay. He didn't really go into the field to apply it, but he did finish something. But then, just because of different situations, he moved to the United States and started working in the United States. My mom, unfortunately, didn't go to school. She did finish almost the second grade in middle school, but back then, in our small town, I don't think school was as important for them to go to school. So she didn't finish middle school, but just because of those factors, I think they've always been really good about pushing us to have a higher level education, go to school and try to use education to open the door to different opportunities. I have an uncle in particular, his name is Luis. He still lives in Mexico, but he's the only child, and he did go to school, finish college, help his mom, and I always wanted to be like him. I kind of consider him as a second dad. So he always inspired. I always looked up to him. So that gave me the inspiration as well.
Wow, that's great. You had a lot of good people who are inspiring you.
Yeah, and just living here in Michigan and getting involved with different nonprofit organizations, I've met a lot of people that made a difference and inspired me to go to school. You included, as we met in one of the networking events for the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. But yeah, I had a pretty good support of people that were always looking out for me and pushing me.
That's good. You studied finance at the University of Detroit Mercy. What were some of the challenges and how did you overcome them?
I think one of the main challenges that I had when I started at Detroit Mercy was just the big transition from going to high school to college.
Right.
I mean, it's huge. I think as students in high school, maybe sometimes we underestimate how big of a change it is, just because of, you managing your schedule. Maybe you have a job, then you have to manage your job as well. But it's way more demanding. You have a lot of homework, a lot of teamwork, a lot of studying, and on top of that, you have to deliver, because you're paying to go to school, whether it's through a scholarship, through a loan, but you need to keep a certain GPA to maintain your financial aid. Secondly, I will say was the English language. When I graduated high school, I felt my English was strong, but when I arrived to the university, I was like, oh man, I need some work. So that was a big challenge, but I kind of stepped down and started taking basic English classes at university, which helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of level set after the first semester just to make sure that I was speaking English properly for for the level of education that I was getting.
That's good.
But those two challenges were the main ones I saw, but the transition was probably the main one. It was a big eye opener.
Wow.
Just going from high school to
Yeah,
to college.
it could be. I know, big challenge.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, where am I now?
Yes, exactly.
Tell us about Loft, the Latinos on the Fast Track.
Yeah, so LOF was a program that was originated by the Hispanic Heritage Foundation down in Washington, D.C., Latinos on Fast Track. I got into this program, I want to say around my freshman year of college.
Right.
I am very involved since a very young age with the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Raymond Lozano at the time got us really involved with the Tercer Jueves, the networking events that they have, where I met you.
Yeah, we met.
And I met a representative from the Hispanic Heritage Foundation at one of these events and kind of started telling me about Loft. The main focus of the program at the time was to gather students with certain characteristics, in their majors and start looking for internships on corporate America with different
That's
partnerships
great.
the Hispanic Heritage Foundation had. So I was one of them. I got my internship with Pulte Homes at the time, where I
great.
spent 3 years as an intern in human
wow,
resources.
that's wonderful.
But that was the main point. I was the main point of contact for University of Detroit Mercy and the Hispanic Heritage Foundation to help other students get internships on corporate America.
Was there another Loft in Michigan? Or?
So there were other LOF programs at University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and I believe Michigan State, but on the Detroit area, Detroit Mercy was the only one.
That's great.
And I believe we placed about 5 or 6 students
That's
on
good.
different internships, and I was one of them. So it was a good way to repay back and get other students to look into the program and actually get an internship, because I was lucky enough to get an internship right after my freshman year of college. And that's very rare, but the Hispanic Heritage Foundation and Loft really opened the opportunity
That's
for us.
wonderful. Well, there are several positions you can go into with a degree in finance. We have a chart that shows those positions and the average salaries. What areas in finance did you have in mind to pursue after obtaining your bachelor's degree when you were as a student?
So when I started my business career, some of the finance classes that interest me the most were taxes, or law tax. Just understanding the laws behind taxes. So I will say those were the two main areas where I focus on. My original plan was to go to law school and obtain a degree in law so that I can do corporate law, specifically on the tech side. But my career kind of changed in a different way. But those were the two main areas where I was focusing. Obviously, also accounting, because that's those are the requirements you have to take. But I did take a couple investment classes as well. I wanted to learn how the investment side works and how you invest money on the market, how you make gains or losses. But those were the main areas. Now, when I was working at Pulte, I was still a college student. My main focus was human resources, specifically on compensation, the finance side of human resources. So those classes came in handy as I was doing my internship. But then when I graduated, now that I work in purchasing with Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, those finance classes really come in handy when you are negotiating, when you are making sure that you're looking at the best price, price breakdown. So that knowledge that I obtained in college can now help me with my career that I currently have.
That's wonderful. Now, when we met, I was the president of the national chapter of Hispanic with MBAs. So at that point, I think you were continuing for your MBA, is that correct? Yeah. So many students fear the cost of college to continue from bachelor's even to MBA. How did you overcome that barrier?
So for my MBA specifically, I'm fortunate enough that the company that I work for, the Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, they have a tuition reimbursement program. So they supported me with my MBA financially. And then I also was able to obtain a job at University of Detroit Mercy for one of my professors. I was his research assistant. So I was able to fund my MBA through those through both avenues. Very thankful to to FCA and also to UD Mercy. But I think if I wouldn't had that opportunity, I would have looked into different scholarships and also different student loans. I feel that even in my bachelor's career, I financed my education through different scholarships and different student loans. At the beginning, my parents were a little skeptical about the student loan situation, but after talking to a financial advisor at school, they saw the bigger picture.
Right.
It's a great investment. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay it back, but it's a great investment that is gonna give you a great opportunity to get into corporate America. But I'm thankful enough that my MBA was funded by those two sources.
That's wonderful. You were very busy.
Yes, extremely. I think one of the things that an MBA would really teach you is balance. I have my job in the morning, and then I have to leave work, and I have to run to school. Be in school for about 3 hours, 2-3 days a week, and then after that you have homework. You have assignments with the group. So it really teaches you a lot of self-discipline, how to balance things, and how to deal with stress. But I think that's one of the keys that you learn when you're going through something like that, because corporate America is challenging. And it's all about how you manage your workload, how you work with other teams, how you work with other companies. So it's
you have to be agile because things change constantly.
Correct. It was a great lesson. So to your point of being busy, it really taught me self-discipline. So it was a good experience.
That's great. That's great. You were also involved with BidFest, the National Hispanic Chamber Program. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah. So I think BizFest was a program that actually, I will say, launched my business career. I was a junior in high school when we got into the program. So the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, has a really good program called BizFest, where it's pretty much a 3 to 4 day camp where they teach you the basics of business and how to develop a business plan. So you have an idea, and they help you enhance that idea, put it in a presentation, and actually sell it to investors. You put everything together from a business plan perspective. So my idea was a restaurant called La Frontera, the border. And it was an idea that I had in my mind, and all of my instructors helped me with the development of that. At the end, though, we had a competition where we all got to present our business plans. I think it was about 25 or 30 of us, and out of those 25, 30 of us, only 3 got the 3 first places. And I was lucky enough to get first place.
Wow, congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you.
I know I presented during that program, and I met you there, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't come back to see the presentation. I always wondered who won, but I had no idea you won. That's great.
I got first place, and I think that really gave me the inspiration to continue with higher education. The prize was actually $1,000 scholarship and also an all-expense paid trip to Puerto Rico, San Juan, because that's where the annual conference was taking place and the national competition was taking place. So I went there, and participated in the national competition where I got 5th place, but met a ton of different people that up to date I'm still in contact with, the power of networking. But the program really taught me that I wanted to go into business, and here we are now.
Yes, I think it's great. And you do have all those connections when you have a program like that, which is wonderful. So I know I did the Tuck program. And I still am in contact with a lot of the people. So
even the instructors, you were one of them. And even the instructors up to date is, you never know. I mean, they're relationships that, whether they're professional or personal, you contribute to one another. You help one another with different initiatives. So it really taught me that I wanted to go into business in corporate America. So
that's good. That's good. Is there anything you may have done different if you had to redo any part of your journey?
I think one of the things I would have done different was maybe getting my parents involved earlier in the process of selecting a college or making the decision of going to college. I'm the first generation of my family to graduate from college and get an MBA. So for my parents, it was a huge change. And specifically for me as well, but for my parents, I think it was even more difficult. Just the fact of financing, you know, a college degree. I know when I spoke to my dad specifically, we were going over the financial aid package, and part of me felt that he was a little bit afraid of all of the amount of money that I had to get out on student loans.
Right.
But I try to explain to him, like, look, this is how it works. This is how we're going to repay it back. But I don't know that he fully grasps to the concept. So
it's just that you're not used to that. In our Latin countries, we don't have that kind of program.
It's very different. Very different. So I got a person from financial aid at the University of Detroit Mercy who spoke Spanish, helped my dad understand how the financial package was going to work.
Good.
So I think after that, like, it opened my dad's eyes as far as the opportunity, and it wasn't as bad as it looked. You know, this is it's an investment that you're making on a life-changing career.
Right.
So I wish I would have got them involved earlier. But I think that paved the way for my siblings who also have gone through school, and for my parents to fully understand the fact that if we leave the house, it's okay. You know, we're gonna go to college. We're gonna get a different experience. Because I feel that sometimes in our culture, leaving the house is a big no. Or for girls specifically too, and guys, it's like, no, what are you doing? But I think after you explain that, it's a bigger picture. But I wish I would have got them involved a little earlier.
That's true. It is true. You do need to get understand. They need to understand that going to college is going to be a full-time commitment, and not necessarily just that, but continuing on your career. You may not always be close to home. So and that's hard for parents, especially from other countries. Well, you know, it's just, I guess, in our culture, like you said. That's sure. I'm kind of curious. How about your siblings? What did they go into?
I have 3 brothers and I have a sister. So my brother after me, he graduated from Wayne State with an accounting degree. So he works for another company here in Michigan.
That's great.
And then my sister also graduated from Wayne State with a degree in business and marketing. She also works for another company here in Michigan. And then I have my other brother. He actually graduated from University of Detroit Mercy as well.
Following your footsteps.
Same career, and we actually work on the same place now. So, so that's great. And then I have another brother, my youngest. He's a sophomore in high school, so he still has a way to go, but he really likes music. So I think he might pursue a degree in business, but also with some type of music degree integrated within. So
that's good. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. And definitely, you were definitely a good role model, and they followed you. So
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was a big eye opener for myself, for my family, for my community, because back then, you know, the percentage of Hispanic Latino students from the Southwest Detroit area, that's where I'm from, going to school was extremely low. I remember being in my first year of college, and it was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us. Now it's a huge change. I mean, the percentages have gone up so high. But it was.
I think the universities have helped in that program, right? Both Wayne State and UD.
Definitely have helped, and I think they hold Southwest, not only Southwest, but all of the schools in that area to great standards, you know, for financial aid and to go into those, elite universities. But yeah, I think that culture change is slowly moving away, specifically for parents, but it's good to see the percentages going up.
That's good. Well, that's the reason why Ask The Latina is also in Spanish, because it helps not only the members, but also the parents can see and learn, because they'll see a program in Spanish, they'll understand, they'll listen to you.
Right.
And so it helps as far as alleviating that they're not the only ones.
Right, exactly.
So that's the most important thing. So our young Latinas and Latinos in high school, they're watching this, so what message would you send to them to encourage them to pursue finance?
Yes, so I think, for me personally, a finance degree and a business degree have opened many opportunities in my professional career, but also in my personal career. Professionally speaking, I got my internship at a very young age. I was with Pulte Homes for about 3 years. And then FCA, Chrysler at the time was recruiting at University of Detroit Mercy. And I was fortunate enough to get a job where I've been there for 7 years now.
That's great.
But on the on the personal side, it has really given me the opportunity to join other organizations that will focus on finance degrees and also other degrees as well. I'm actually part of the board of directors for ALFA, Association of Latin Professionals for America.
Yeah, it used to be finance and accounting.
Which used to be
Latinos.
finance and accounting, and then
They're
we had
a very strong group. They're really
yeah,
good.
very strong group. We had a bit of a change. Now we're more, inclusive of other
That's good.
other degrees, and being involved with the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has also been great. The United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce,
Yes.
other small nonprofit organizations within Detroit, but I think one of the biggest ones is HACER, Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility.
Yeah.
In 2016, I was fortunate enough to get their Young Hispanic Corporate Achiever Award.
Oh gosh, that's great.
Yeah, so it was great just because of my career path, but I think it all comes down to the degree that I received
Right.
in business and finance, and also the university that I received it from. So I will say, getting a degree in finance or business opens the door to many opportunities. You can do a wide range of things, and your career can take you into different areas. And also, just know that anything is possible. I know sometimes in our culture, we sometimes question we want to go to school or whether we don't want to go to school because sometimes of footsteps from the past. But I think it's new times. I know for sure that when you are trying to finance that higher education, talk to your parents about it.
Yeah.
Show them the bigger picture, because sometimes it's more difficult for the parents to understand it than you. But really get your parents involved. I know when I got mine involved, it was a huge culture change. But now, myself and my siblings have a higher education, and we paved the way. It's
You did.
sometimes we get calls from my dad's friends, or just friends in particular, about how do we finance our college education,
Yeah.
because they don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And it's good to always just explain to them that anything is possible.
Yeah,
So
now you can just point them to the show.
sky is the
you
limit,
can listen
yes.
to me on the show.
Exactly,
I gave you all the
exactly.
details there.
yeah, here you go.
Well, thank you, Bruno, for sharing with us your journey and all the details and a lot of recommendations. These are very valuable. I am sure that you've inspired our viewers to pursue a degree in finance. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I'm really excited. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, this concludes our show, and we look forward to seeing you in another episode of Ask the Latina.